Welcome to FCPS All-Stars. We have with us today Jennifer Siderius, Media Specialist at New Market Elementary School. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi.
I'm so glad to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start right off by asking, when I say the word Santorini, what comes to mind?
When I hear the word Santorini, I think of one of my all-time favorite trips. In October of 2009, I had an opportunity to take a Mediterranean cruise with one of my dearest friends. She was celebrating her 40th birthday, and she was a recent cancer survivor, and so we took that trip to celebrate her life and the fact that she was still able to enjoy everything going on in the world. So we flew to Venice and had ports of call in Croatia, Santorini, Greece, Corfu, Greece, and Ephesus, Turkey.
Oh, wow.
It was an amazing opportunity.
What was your favorite destination on that trip?
That is a very easy answer for me. My absolute favorite destination on that trip was Ephesus, Turkey. I love to learn. I love history. I'm a nerd. I'm always looking things up in books. It's why I'm a media specialist. For me, the best part of that destination was a Turkish rug school that we got to go to. In Turkey, they're very famous for hand-tied rugs. And in Ephesus, we went to a carpet weaving school where they taught us and showed us how they take the silk from silkworms, how they dye silk and wool with natural elements like berries and nuts over open kettles on boiling fires.
Wow.
And then they showed us how they spin it into yarn, and then we got to watch a young lady do a demonstration of how she was taking these fibers and hand knitting these very elaborate designs on rugs. And she told us that she could work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 40 to 50 weeks a year, and finish one, maybe 6x9 rug, something that might fit into our living rooms.
One rug?
One rug. And it amazed me that someone could spend a whole year working on one elaborate piece of artwork. And when I was in Turkey, we had an opportunity to go to a bazaar and kind of haggle for things. And I really wanted to come home with a Turkish rug, but my friend was teasing me, it will not fit into your suitcase. And so I had to settle for just a small piece of history to bring home with me from that trip and remember how much I enjoyed the carpet weaving school in the ruins at Ephesus.
And this is all silk?
It's a silk wool blend, and it's every little piece of yarn has been hand knotted into the background. So somebody worked months just to make this little piece
That's amazing.
of fabric.
I understand that when you were younger, you were kind of non-athletic.
Definitely.
And tell me how you transitioned from the non-athletic you to the person who runs half marathons now?
I was the non-athletic child. Some of my older sisters were very athletic. 7 or 8 years ago, a fellow coworker was telling me about how she was training for a half marathon. And she wasn't a very athletic person either. And I thought, well, if she can do that, I should be able to do that as well. And I was telling some other people about my aspirations to do this, and they just burst out laughing. They were like, Jen, you trip over your own feet. You have no coordination. How are you going to run for 13 miles? And at first I thought, oh, well, maybe they're right.
Maybe.
But then I said, you know what? I should believe in myself, and I should have a goal to work towards. And so I said, I'm going to do it. And I trained all summer long. Running outside on a track in the middle of July is not fun, but I said, I'm going to do this.
Okay.
I'm going to prove to people that for once in my life I can be somewhat athletic.
Yeah.
And I ran my first half marathon in the fall of 2008 in Evansville, Indiana. I picked a town several hours away so that if I did trip and fall, there would be no witnesses. And I did a combination of running and walking in the half marathon, but I made it to the end line.
Now, doing all of that running, did you run into your husband that way, or did you find him somewhere else?
I did not find him that way. At the time, I was living in Western Kentucky, and he was working at Washington University in St. Louis, and we had mutual friends. Some of my childhood friends met him through work and church, and they said, you know what, the two of you are very compatible. We think the two of you should meet. So we went out on a blind date dates with other friends, and thought, like, do we really want to pursue this long distance relationship? We're 3 hours apart. Is this something that we both want? And we spent a spring and summer really getting to know each other before we decided, yes, we're committed to this, we want this.
Okay. And you have a beautiful daughter named Olivia.
Yes.
Tell me the story about using your stomach as a billboard.
Well, when you're an elementary school teacher, you do a lot of crazy things. And at New Market Elementary School, we have what we call the volunteer show at the end of every May. And in May of 2013, I was 9 months pregnant, just a few weeks away from my due date, and my stomach was huge. And in one of the skits, all of us teachers were wearing headbands with a letter on it, and we were coming out on stage to spell the word volunteers. And they put me last, and I was S for stomach, and so I was the S in the volunteers word. And when I came out with the S on my head, and they said the letter S stands for stomach, across my belly we had placed stickers that said, "Thank you, volunteers." So Olivia's never going to get away from being a teacher's kid. Even before she was born, she was getting to work.
Yeah, but the good thing is that now you use her as a model for your knitting wear.
Yes.
And I'm sure she enjoys that. And why don't you tell everybody how you got involved in knitting?
I originally began to knit when I was in junior high school. I was visiting my grandmother, and one of her friends knit. She knew I was the type of kid who wasn't good at sitting still, and I liked to be busy and active, so she taught me to knit.
What do you enjoy most about knitting?
I enjoy the process of creating something. I have always been very crafty. I like to quilt, I like to scrapbook, but those things aren't very portable and they take up a lot of time and space. So I love the fact that knitting is portable. I can throw it in my bag and go, but I most enjoy seeing how you can take just a single strand of yarn and turn it into a finished product. I especially, like you said, love to knit for Olivia. I'm doing it now before she becomes a teenager and realizes that maybe it's not cool to wear mom's clothes. So this is just a little jumper that I made for her this winter. It's what relaxes me and allows me to unwind at the end of a day.
And that's good. You've even done cabling in there.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Well, you know what? If you had a teenager, you'd be doing all sorts of scarves, like the O scarves and Infinity, and you'd probably still be busy. But it's a great hobby, and you're very good at it, and it's something that you enjoy. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us at FCPS All-Stars. Can't wait to see you next week, and don't forget, shine on.